we are absolutely seeing mask mandates ease in so many places, in schools, carrying to commercial office space, just places where we're really trying to get back to this new norm. But there's really this underlying concern when you talk to your friends, when you speak with parents, when you speak with leadership at schools, and even some older students, like what's going to happen to me, and also what's next. And we had this opportunity to really go ahead and make people feel safer with the incorporation of these pathogen reduction technologies. And it's a really important layer. We're not saying use this as an alternative for chemical and mechanical cleaning processes, but it's a really important layer to go ahead and treat things that we can't see. Airborne pathogens, surface-based pathogens that we may not be focusing on or taking care of with things like Lysol and aerosols. I have this conversation regularly, and I think UV has really been brought to the forethought of people's minds because of the current pandemic, but UV incorporation didn't start in schools just because of SARS-CoV-2. There's actually studies dating back over 200 years talking about the impact of different wavelengths of UV against different pathogens, whether it be viral or bacterial. Actually, back in the early 1940s, going back a few years before that even, in the Philadelphia school district, it was actually found that they were incorporating UV lamps inside these indirect style light fixtures, and they would aim the output of that UV towards the upper air in the room. It was what we now call upper room air disinfection, but this is what I call a Gen 1 version of that. What they were doing at the time, though, was measuring the difference in transmission rates of measles. They found that these classrooms that use these UV systems, the transmission rate was only about 13%, as compared to the classrooms that didn't use it, were about 54% transmission rates. So we're able to now take that with the current pandemic, and of course, other things that we run into. The flu virus we deal with 6 months out of the year, noroviruses in locker room settings, and also, of course, SARS-CoV-2. And we have the ability to incorporate these to send our kids back to school with a little more peace of mind. I actually come from a family of educators in the New Jersey school system, and I have this conversation with them in my personal life regularly. Focus on the areas that would benefit it from the most first, whether it be areas where people congregate or areas with high touch surfaces. Think the nurse's office, think locker rooms, and also any areas where people may be taking off their PPE. Think in cafeteria areas, and then also in teachers' lounges. Focus on the areas that would benefit it from the most first, and then if the budget allows, go back and add it in. At Acuity Brands, we actually have an entire team now dedicated to running what are called dosing calculations. What we do is we take the space and we virtually put the fixtures into the room. And then we can go ahead and calculate the dose, which is the amount and the time of UV that will reach a certain surface. Think a doorknob, a tabletop of a desk, a teacher's desk, also in vanity areas and restrooms. And we can take that dose and calculate how long it will take to reduce certain viruses and bacteria. We can actually calculate the reduction of over 20 pathogens. So what we do is we run this calculation and we can actually share it with you so that if you need to share it with Board of Education, parents, PTA councils, and also maybe a student council, you have this document to show you what will be inactivated or reduced in what amount of time. We've been very intentional at making sure we are very upfront on all of our documentations to make sure that you know what pathogens can be inactivated in what amount of time. There's no guessing game. And also, we have an entire team at Acuity Brands dedicated to being able to have conversations with you to choose what technology is best for your space. We put all this information on the documents, but when you put this into practice, we have the ability to provide what are called dosimeter cards. for technologies that will inactivate surface-based pathogens. The best analogy I can give for what a dosimeter card is imagine what's the size of a business card that glows like a mood ring. So you can put this on a desktop of a classroom desk, and that card can actually measure the amount of UV reaching it. So a facilities person can install the fixtures, they can put the card on the surface. You can measure the amount of UV reaching that card that would be correlated with the reduction of certain viruses or bacteria. This is a common trend that we're seeing, and UV lamps integrated into HVAC systems isn't something that just got started because of the pandemic. Many forget, though, that many of these UV integrated HVAC systems are really designed to keep the coils clean and keep the system running efficiently. Oftentimes, the velocity of air running through these systems may be too significant to actually be able to inactivate or reduce viruses. What we would actually propose is more of a localized approach. Something like our Eval Air solution can be easily recessed into grid ceilings in classrooms, down hallways and corridors, and even in administration spaces. And what happens with a solution like Eval Air is it's a self-contained unit with a fan, a filter, and a UV lamp. So that fan will actually draw air into the sealed unit, treat the air, inactivate your viruses and bacteria, and then expel that treated air back down to where the people are. Proven effective against reducing viruses and bacteria that we publish right on our spec sheets. We're very fortunate at Acuity Brands to offer 3 quite different pathogen reduction technologies. What's very common in the industry right now is to offer one technology and try to make it work everywhere. We didn't want to do that. We have Pulse X, Care222, and Eval Air, so that you have the flexibility to really choose what is best for the room itself. You don't just have to pick your favorite and try to incorporate it into every space. Really think about the best technology for a place like a nurse's room that may be different from what you use in the teacher's lounge, which may be different in what you incorporate in the classrooms themselves. We also have these fantastic brief videos to go ahead and be able to educate yourselves and your peers, and then also things like Board of Education and parents about the differences between the 3 technologies. They're available on our website, but we're also always happy to share those with you.